shower again. I got cut off earlier because I ran out of time to tell my story. Okay, I'm coming. I'm on the phone. Air radio podcast thing. I'll be right there. I'm finishing my cigarette. I'm on the radio thing. Show. Wannabe show. Yes, like my mother. My mother is much more, now they're about the same. Yeah, so anyway, where the hell was I now? It took so long to get on here again because I ran out of space. I had to buy a pro plan just to be able to keep going. But I got too much to say, apparently. Nice thing is now I can do 45-minute episodes because I got the pro plan. I'm not going to go that long, though. But anyway, so I was going on about, where was I? I was talking about so I was in jail. I was going on about this sea monster, friggin' Magma Monster is what I'm calling it, because it was in a dream I had in like 2015 or 2016, maybe 2014, somewhere in that area. And I went to jail in 2020 and listened to the other episode before this, to be up to speed on the whole thing. So I had that dream, and in 2020 I went to jail. I went to jail for 4 months. And when I was in there, it was during COVID. They had no books, nothing to read other than the Bible. So I started reading, and I'm not religious at all, but I'm starting to try to find my own religion in a way, like have spiritual beliefs. I have beliefs that are my own. And it's just because I've got cancer, and I've got, probably who knows how long to live, because I've had the symptoms since 2015 also. And I didn't realize it till recently, and I think it's in my lymph nodes, my testicle, a scrotal sac, and then a prostate, I think, because it's the burning. Well, that's a whole other thing. But so I'm starting to try to find something so I don't have to be so scared of death and leaving my family behind and all that. So I've been just trying to, out of desperation, I started reading that while I was in jail, trying to figure out. And I was only in there for absconding, even for under probation. Nothing serious, but I was in there for 4 months, and I was reading and then skimming through it, and, thinking questions in my head and doing like a magic 8-ball thing where I just flip open randomly to see where my thumbs land, and I wrote little notes in there under anything that meant something to me. And one of the things I landed on was in Revelations, book of Revelations, like the end of the thing, and it had an almost exact description of what I dreamt of. And I know it sounds ridiculously crazy. You're going to be like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. But it did. You could even ask my wife. I think I even drew a picture of it back then. Just a rough drawing to show her what the heck it was. It was a shitty drawing. So I saw this thing. And when they described it in Revelations, it was almost identical to the dream I had. In the dream, I was on the beach, just standing looking out the ocean, and this giant cave monster thing was coming. Real slow, like the size of it looked like a mountain moving towards us with a cave in the front of it. And as it got closer, it was huge. It got closer, and I realized it had teeth in the cave, and I realized it was a big open mouth, and it was full of like magma, glowing hot on the inside. And steam was coming out of it because the ocean water was going into its mouth and turning to steam, and it was just steam was pouring out of everywhere around it and behind it. And when the steam was kind of like separated far enough, you could see like shiny glass in the background. I remember it was like it was turning the sand to glass behind it because it was so hot. And this thing, it was terrifying. I just woke up. That was it. It was terrifying enough that I rememred it for all the way up till now, and told my wife about it back then. She kind of forgot. I think she's starting to remember now. But I always used to tell her when I had weird dreams like that. It was like a nightmare. It stuck with me, and just a blip really, but. And then I read about it in Revelation. They talk about these lute players on the freaking beach are the ones that's supposed to stop it. And I was like, I play guitar. Wouldn't that be cool? And I was like, nah, fuck that. I don't want to do that. Jesus. That'd be a horrible gig to have to play. But, it was just weird. But, so I almost fainted. I was laying down in jail on one of the metal beds with the skinny mat. And I was just baffled by the whole thing, and I was laying, and I almost fainted. I was laying down already, and I almost fainted. I felt my head go numb. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I dreamed of. This is terrifying. What are the chances, They call it the Beast or something like that, and it's supposed to come during the apocalypse and wipe out the world or something. But I think they put it to sleep or something like that with his music, and their lutes, which are guitars of the day. So I was like, man, that's weird. But the weirdest thing yesterday happened to me. I was going on to check. My wife usually calls me on her way to work or in the morning before she goes in. She works at a daycare center, and I was, checking it. Or she didn't call, and it got past like 8:30, and I was like, oh shoot, she must just be busy. I better check to make sure she's okay. So we shared, our locations to each other on Google Maps. So I went to look to see if she got to work okay, and I sideswiped, and I accidentally threw a pin down. You know how you can put pins down on Google? Yeah, I accidentally threw a pin down, and I was like, oh, what is that? It's like the Gulf of Guinea or something like that. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, well, I might as well zoom in and see where the hell, just for the hell of it, why not? See what the hell's, where did I land? Where did this pin land? And I put an image of it on this friggin', right on here. I put an image of it on my default for this episode, and you can see where the pin landed. And what looks like no freaking line, big giant claws coming out of the sand. And I always thought that this thing was, I got the impression that it came from the Earth's core and out of the ocean. It was coming up, and I was like, I saw these claws, and it's on Google Maps. Anybody could see it. And I just happened to land right on it. I was like, what are the chances of that actually just happening? So I zoomed in, I saw something. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? Because it's big claws sticking out. And if you look at the size measurement on the bottom right, it's about 5 miles tall by 5 miles wide. And if you zoom out, you can't even see it. It's like a pixel. And the fact that I just happened to, boom, land on that, it just blows my mind. And I'm just so rocked by it right now. I'm like, can this be real? I feel like I'm in a fucking really bad 1990s fucking a movie that's about, like Independence Day or some shit. And I'm like, this is just fucking unreal. This is too unreal. And I'm still coming to grips with it. And now I'm like, maybe I already died from my cancer issues and I'm dead right now, or I'm in a mental hospital with a straitjacket on, but I can't help but be like, what the fuck? I mean, you see this thing, it's terrifying. I put the image on there. I got a screenshot of the coordinates too. I opened it up to see the exact coordinates where it was. You can only see the picture there, but it's in the, and I said to my wife, this is the weirdest thing of all. The night before yesterday, me and my wife were laying in bed. I was playing guitar. We just got done, doing our thing. Like 3 times, but we were. I was playing my guitar and just laying there with her, getting a little coddle time, and I'm sitting there playing, and we started getting into talking about that again. Just the night before, literally the night before, yesterday, I talked, and the next morning is when that happened. It was when and it was just like, it's so fucking weird. We just talked about this. And I'm not even joking. It's terrible. I'm worried as all hell. And I have issues, with like, I hear like, I know it sounds crazy, but I hear like voices in the wind. It's echoes, and it sounds like real people sometimes. I think they're ghosts, and I'm thinking maybe the cancer's getting in my brain now. And I have diabetes too, so I'm like, maybe it's diabetic issues. I don't know what the hell it is. But these voices have been saying, besides making fun of me, because the ghosts are like pranksters. They like to make fun of me. They make fun of my wife, and I'm like, I even got picked on. Fucking, even the dead pick on me. I'm so fucking. Ever since I was in elementary school, the only time I ever defended myself was middle school and up. But I got in one fight in middle school, and then nobody ever fucked with me again after that. But I was, not a fighter, never have been, and I just, I'll defend myself and my family if I have to. But yeah, I'm like, these ghosts say some nasty shit sometimes. I call them ghosts. I think what they are is, I think, if they're not just me being crazy, because I have really good ears, I do music and stuff like that. I could hear things pretty well, like harmonics and stuff. And I'm listening to this, to these, I try to tune it out, but whenever wind's blowing, it seems like it's like almost like matrixing with picture. You ever see, there's something called matrixing where you can see patterns, like you look for faces in brick walls. My wife told me about this. And with your eyes, with your sight, you'll recognize faces and patterns and stuff. And I think my ears do that with sound. white noise. It tries to find something in the noise, and it it basically creates it in a way. It's like it's there, it's really there, but it it's just very weird. But that's what happens with audio for me. And sometimes, especially white noise and wind blowing, so it gets louder. And the one day I heard coming out of my vent that sounded like an organ with choir behind it. And this is why I made the episode titled what I did in the last one, because it's so ridiculous. It just sounds so religiously ridiculous. But I heard this and I tuned my guitar to it. I was like, I wonder if I could tune my guitar to that, because I happened to be changing my strings on my acoustic guitar, and I tuned it to it. Sorry, I'm making an album later. Alright, so I tuned my guitar to these, what the keys sound like, only 6 of the strings. I think I mentioned this the other day on one of these podcasts. And the notes ended up, I don't know how to read music. I just matched it, play it by ear. And I was off by like 1 cent on every single note. When I put it on my guitar tuner to see what the notes were, I was off by like 1 cent. It was like very close to being dead on every string. And I was like, wow. Not bad. The notes were actually real notes. And it was C, F, A sharp. I think C, F, C. It's all C's and F's and an A sharp. Maybe another A sharp in there somewhere. My nickname growing up was always Christopher Flash. People call me as a joke because I'm slow. It's like kind of calling a fat boy slim, or a skinny guy, whatever, skinny guy Tubbs or something. But so I called my wife over and I was like, you gotta hear this. It sounds cool. The tuning actually sounded like. Oh yes, I wasn't finished yet with that other thought. Chris Flash was my nickname. CF and A sharp. I was like, well, see, it's all CFs and an A sharp. Pound A sharp. Well, no, pound is the sharp symbol, I think. So it's CF A sharp. Anyway, I'm thinking Chris Flash CF sharp A sharp. Chris Flash sharp, and I was like, it sounds like I'm saying Chris Flash harp. Like a stringed instrument. I was like, I'm going to call it that on this tuning, because you can make, people make tunings up for the things that they come up with. I mean, whenever you come up with a special tuning on an instrument, you can, name it. I don't know if that's anything I made up, but I think I found out later it was actually tuning. I was tuning to the harmonic balancing of the motor. I mean, the motor has to be harmonically, magnetically balanced, the magnetism, so it stays centered and spins between the magnets. So I was like, that must be what I'm tuning to, the harmonic balance of the motor. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It sounded like an organ and choir voices, and people been eating and shit. And anyway, I'm not going too much into that because I don't want to end up having somebody put me in a mental hospital, but or 302 me. But I tuned to this, and it was a real, and every chord on the guitar, modern guitar chords, actually works on it. It still sounds good. It sounds, it just sounds like ancient, otherworldly type sound. I'll tune my guitar to it and show you guys. I'll show you guys if there's anybody listening here. But I'm going to keep doing this anyway, because this stuff, I feel like, has to be said for some reason. It's just interesting. How could I not tell everybody? That's the only reason I started doing this podcast. All the weird shit that's been happening. So I put the tuning on, and I'm thinking like, oh, so if that dream ended up being fucking true, does that mean I have to go now? If a monster comes out of the ocean like that, do I have to go stand on a fucking beach and play this stupid? Maybe I have to use that tuning or something. My God, would be terrifying. No weapon. I just have to stand there with a fucking guitar and what's supposed to happen? I'm just going to sing it to sleep? Like, this is fucking retarded. I mean, that's what it says in the book of Revelations. I'm like, they said it was a whole bunch of angels and like Jesus on a horse or some shit, and all of them like fighting this beast, but they just play music for it. So I mean, a lot of music. But I started thinking, I'm like, if this actually comes true, I'm going to be convinced that I'm in a padded room in a mental hospital having delusions of grandeur or something, because this is just so fucking outrageous. But I found this sea monster coordinates on goddamn on Google Maps by luck. I just happened to land on it. If you zoom out, I'll give the coordinates right now. Hold on a second. Yeah, if you zoom out, if you zoom out on the damn, hold on, I'm on my show thingy. What? Why? I'm on the thing recording. I'm recording on the air. You're gonna sound like a nagging mother. My mother. Oh, I'm almost done. Tell her I'll be there in 2 minutes. All right, let me finish this up. My wife wants to cut my hair for the wedding we gotta go to. Anyway, I'm coming. 5 minutes. 2 minutes. Oh. Tell her 2 minutes. I'll be right in.
He said 2 minutes.
Thank you, baby. That's my son, Christopher. I call him the mush because he was always mushy cheeks, squishy cheeks. I don't know, just something that stuck. And my wife's always been pumpkin, so pumpkin and mush, seem to go hand in hand. So anyway, where was I? Oh, so this monster thing on Rainy Villa. Oh yeah, so if you zoom way out on Google Maps, it's like a speck on there. And the fact that I just happened to land on it is crazy to me. It's in the Gulf of Guinea somewhere, and I actually told my wife the weirder thing was when we were laying there in bed the night before we were talking about, just so happened to be the night before I did that. I said to her, I wish I had that on tape, but I said to her, why don't we, I said, I always think about that dream I had, and where would something like that come from? And I asked her, did like a meteorite hit in the Gulf of Mexico? Or something, because that looks like kind of about the size and shape of it. And whatever happened to them, she said, yeah, actually, that's how it was formed. And I said, well, the meteorite hit, whatever happened to the meteorite? And I was like, maybe it was some creature that like hit and burrowed its way into the center of the earth from outer space or something. And it's going to come back out, because I always think about this stupid thing. And then, this morning I wake up and it's not in the Gulf of Mexico, but the Gulf of Guinea. It's pretty fucking close. I mean, like, Jesus. Holy shit, I gotta put up the coordinates. Let me see if I can stay on the air. I'll get it staying on while I look for the coordinate picture. I did screenshots of it all, and I'm trying to find my Google Photos. I wonder if I could share pictures on here besides the one default picture. All right, here it is. Okay, so the coordinates, here it is. Okay, so it's near North Atlantic Ocean. It says drop pin, and on the quick thingy, it's not coordinates, longitude, latitude. That other one, the Google code one, is like 6FG222F6 plus XP. So again, it's if anyone cares to even look at this to see that it's really there and not just photoshopped. 6FG222F6 plus XP. And the coordinates, the actual longitude and latitude below it are 0.0. Sorry, Stern thing. Anybody that listens to Stern. Okay, 0.0248909. And then the other thing, a comma, and then it's 0.0117588. So again, that's 0.0248909, comma, 0.0117588. And that's where it is. I landed right on that fucking spot. If you zoom out and see how tiny of a spot that is, it don't look like much till you zoom in. But then you zoom in, you see these giant tentacle-looking claw things sticking out of the sand with a big hole underneath of it, black hole, and it's 5 miles by 5 miles in measurement. It's unbelievable. And I'm like, this is like terrifying me now. Like, what if that's a baby, or what if that's just the tip of the iceberg? How big is the thing? And I'm like, this can't be happening. This is like a nightmare if it is. And I don't know if it's alive. It looks like it was just reaching out of the earth to eat something. And it looks like a bone graveyard around it, too, on Google Maps. You have to turn on satellite view to see it, obviously. But anyway, all right, that's enough for now, because my wife's going to get mad. I need a haircut. But, yeah, so I'll be back later on sometime, whenever I get bored again and have something to say. But, again, my name's Chris McDermott. And... yeah. Hi, I'm Chris McDermott, and I'm an addict and an alcoholic. Yeah, I'm going to start promoting this shit somehow, and, I have this I make music under the band name Eve of Release, and I've done it for years, since forever. But, so, yeah, if you want to listen to music of mine, Eve of Release, you can just search Eve of Release on Google, and there's a whole bunch of outlets for it, but it's on it was on SoundCloud at one time. And I think the best one's Bandcamp because you can name your own price and make it all $0 if you want to get my music. But it don't matter anyway. I'm gonna play it on here later. And I did something the other day and I screwed it up because my voice is going bad. I've had some kind of cold. So I'm gonna try that again another day. But, all right, later on.